The ARC program is a recreational program that started for all the million of AR owners that had purchased rifles over the past several years that really didn't have an outlet to find out any skills that they could have with those rifles.
We knew with the popularity of the AR that it was important to get a training platform that addressed that specific gun.
Once we train them, then we want to get them to hone their skills in the match and competitive side. Whether you know already how to use your rifle, or whether you're just beginning to learn how to use it, or you're just not sure that you can use it, the basic match gives you the skills to feel comfortable with it. And I think that the advanced match really sets you up with your partners. It gives you the skills to get out there and challenge your buddies.
Hi, I'm Mark Keefe, and I'm here on the NRA range with Nathan Judd. Now, Nathan is the Senior Training Specialist for the NRA Training Department, and he is the guy that is running the training component for America's Rifles Challenge. So thanks for being with us today, Nathan, and kind of run us through what you do on the course.
It originally started as just a fun, come out and shoot recreational program, but then we clearly saw a divide from the shooters that they either wanted formal training or they wanted to compete. So we now have the program. It's a joint program ran between NRA's Education and Training Division as well as the Competitions Division. And there's a match side component to it that is an action sport. It's very similar to any of the other action sports, action pistol or 3-gun, but it's just run on the AR platform. And then we have the formal training side, which I don't call it a basic course. It's a fundamentals course.
Okay.
Because what we teach is the basic fundamentals that any AR owner should know whenever they want to safely, efficiently, and effectively run this rifle.
One of the things we're doing when we're training people to use the AR, we're looking at it more of a practical use type thing, the things that you would actually be doing with that platform. So we know that we need to get people moving with that platform, reloading it. I mean, it's a whole new concept to us.
All right, Nathan, well, let's start with the basics. Where do you guys begin with the clinic?
First off, we're going to go over a proper standing position. So, proper standing position with the rifle. If you're right-handed, you want to have that high tang pistol grip, just like on your standard pistol. And you're going to come up and you're going to find that pocket. Now, everybody always wonders where the pocket is. If you crease it in, it's not necessarily right in the shoulder. It's more towards the pectoral area in the chest. You want just nice, firm, right inside that pocket in the shoulder.
Okay.
Now, your support hand, a lot of people like to overreach or they like to come up here.
Okay.
Standard AR has quite a bit of weight as far as where the barrel is and whether or not you have other attachments out front. If you come up close, you're muscling and having to force that weight up front. If you kind of come out and just be a little bit more relaxed as far as where your hand placement is, you can control the weight of the rifle if you have to move between target to target or if you're actually on the move. Feet should be nice and shoulder width apart, nice and comfortable and balanced, almost like a baseball swing stance.
Okay.
Knees slightly bent, and then kind of lean into the rifle just a little bit. Proper recoil mitigation all comes from the stance. So from a proper standing position, if we want to go for more support, the next position down from the standing position is going to be a kneeling position. Now there's two traditional ways to do this, and that's a double kneeling position, which is the most easiest one to transition to. Okay, if I'm in a proper standing position and I want to go to a double kneeling, I simply keep everything in place and then just come down on both my knees. Now I've gained a little bit more support because I now have more surface contact with the ground.
Okay.
I now have 3 points of contact instead of 2. For more stability, you want to bring your support knee up,
Right.
and then rock back onto your dominant side heel.
Okay.
And then place my elbow onto my support knee.
As far as the equipment that's required for this course, basically it's 100 rounds for the course of fire and a rifle and a sling if you have one. The whole premise behind the program's development was teaching people on their current rifle platforms that they have. It may not necessarily be the best fit for them currently, but they'll walk away knowing what fits best for them now.
Now, Nathan, one of the things that you teach in the America's Rifle Challenge is proper magazine change. A lot of guys know how to change magazines, but there's actually a right, efficient way to do so.
Right. Magazine change is a very key fundamental to know. Either something has gone wrong, there's been a malfunction with the rifle, and I need to be able to properly clear it, or my magazine is now empty, and I need to either get back up on the clock as far as competition, or I need to get back into the fight in a defensive situation. So proper reloads and repetitive training of reloads is key. So let's go ahead and come on up in a standing position, and we've got magazines empty and the bolts now locked back. Okay. Now, what we call this is an emergency reload. I now have a situation where I have no ammo left in my rifle and I need to get it back up and going. I've now pulled the trigger. Nothing has happened. I tilt the rifle a little bit towards the left. I can now see my target. My rifle is still downrange towards the target, but now I can just take a glance down and see that my ejection port is open, my bolt's locked back, and I don't have any ammunition left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with index my trigger finger onto the magazine release. I'm going to drop the magazine out. I'm going to go ahead and grab a new ammo source, a new magazine, insert in, bolt goes forward, and I'm back on target. Now that is one way of doing it.
We believe that you have to break down skills and teach very basic skills first before you can learn more advanced skills. And then you're going to move into actually applying those, and then with each of those skills, develop upon that. You can get into competition or, defensive type shooting, but you got to learn that foundation first.
There's no two ARs alike in any class that I've ever had the pleasure of teaching. The optics are different, the stocks are different, the grips are different. And that's one thing that a lot of shooters take away from these classes is they have a better understanding of how they have their gun set up and how it can be effectively used for them and what they may need to change in the future.
All right, Mark, so the next little tip that we're going to go over is something else that we cover in the course is using a barricade or any type of structure for support in your position. Now, this isn't necessarily cover versus concealment topic, but this is using what you have in your area to your advantage, whether it be a vehicle or a tree. But there's a little finesse as far as going back to properly use one of these, because you're dealing with a rigid surface and you're against a mobile object. So you want to have proper technique as far as supporting it against this. Now, this can be used in conjunction with all three of the positions that we learned earlier, prone, standing, or kneeling. So what we're going to do is go ahead and demonstrate the proper standing position with a barricade. Now, as far as standing on the dominant side, proper standing position, I'm just going to incorporate the barricade as support. Now, most of the contact is going to be my body on the wall versus my rifle on the wall. Okay. Basically, everybody's kind of got an L shape in their hand.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go flat palm against the structure.
Okay.
Using my index and thumb as almost a cradle.
Okay.
Okay. That's where the rifle will come up and rest. So now I have 3 points of contact, and I can either wrap my fingers over and then control that rifle recoil whenever it goes up to mitigate that. Mm-hmm. And I just want to lean into the rifle. Okay, by leaning into the rifle, I'm putting a little bit more force on my hand on the wall. Okay. Which again, more contact with some sort of structure gives me more stability. Okay. Okay, and then I'll just maintain that on target and then take the shot.
The popularity has really grown in the action sports because, before it was very bullseye oriented, everybody on a firing line shooting a target several hundred yards downrange. Now with the advancements in military and law enforcement training being a more dynamic environment, The action sports have become very appealing to the new up-and-coming shooters, the military personnel that's gotten out of the service over the past decade and a half. So the popularity of the gun really exploded and really created a new wave of competitive shooters, which is why the America's Rifle Challenge program now has its match side.
This is a different form of competition in several different respects. We have a basic match that you can come and join. We can do that on a 100-yard range, or you can do that on a 50-yard range. You're basically learning how to use the rifle and how to do a magazine change and how to shoot from different positions. They're about a 70 to a 90 round count, and that will be as a basic match. And then you can work yourself into the advanced matches. The advanced matches are run more like a running stage where you're actually in squads. You might be in squads of 5 or 6 people, and they are usually laid out in about 4 to 8 different stages. And in those, you usually have, say, 120 seconds par time, and you're given a round count. And then when the timer starts, you'll hear a buzzer, and that gives you your time to start.
The great thing about the ARC program, it can be geared towards a very basic shooter, someone who's never even touched an AR, and it can take them from that level to actually shooting a mild type of competition, if you would, to the more advanced type shooters where they're getting a lot more into moving and shooting and reloading and drills and stiffer competition.